Welcome. Today we are discussing the Parker 45 TX. So, the Parker 45 was a model that came out in the 1960s, and it was very notable because it was the first fountain pen that took cartridges. So instead of the converter and the refilling it yourself and the fuss and the muss of all that, getting it on your hands here and there, like you can see on me. This one you could just pop open and toss in a cartridge that was disposable. This particular one has this push refill converter. I prefer converters anyway, but it's nice. You just depress this part and that squishes the sack, expels any fluid, you release it, and then that creates the vacuum to suck up all of your fluid. But this particular model is a Parker 45 TX. This one was only made between 1979 and 1983. This one, I believe, was a 1979 model because the later dates had the date imprinted on the cap, and I couldn't find, I've got the made in and the Parker there, but I couldn't find any imprint of the year, so I think this one's a 1979, actually. They did come standard with a gold nib, however you could fit it however you wanted from the factory. So this particular person who bought this actually had the steel nib instead of the gold nib. Maybe they were trying to save cost. That said, this is a beautiful medium nib, and it actually writes really, really well. I'm used to my medium vanishing point nibs, and this writes equally well, equally almost as bouncy too. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous nib. Even compared to my gold nibs. So I actually really like this little medium. The TX has a brass body, so under the cap, the cap and the body are both brass. The inner portion here is some sort of resin. So this inner portion handheld grip is not metal, but the two body components otherwise are brass coated in a blue epoxy, which made this one kind of a special release. It is not a screw-on cap, it is a clip-on cap. And at first I was a little bit weary of that, but this one really does go well, and it works really well. It doesn't, I would not be worried about using the clip. The clip itself is very nice. As you can see, it's the kind of one of their motifs, their things that set them apart here is this clip. It's kind of just their look, their aesthetic, and it works very well. It's springy, it's bouncy, so no problems going in or out of a pocket. So let's talk more about fit, finish, and feel. This is a great pen. Like I said, it's modern, it's sleek, so it really works well in that regard. It definitely was stylistically kind of ahead of its time. It was competing at ballpoints more so at that point. So the design kind of is more futuristic and modern than, your kind of vintage styles that you would have, or even more modern fountain pen styles that try and emulate the older styles. But it's a very nice weighty feel, which is good because of the brass underneath. And the blue is nice and deep. It's lustrous, so that's good. It's got the little gold cap there. It's not quite flat. It's kind of angled, which is kind of nice too. Just a hair conical. The cap does post, by the way. If you want it to post, it posts rather nicely. It definitely is very comfortable to post. But however, most of my pens, unless it's required, I don't post them just because I don't really want to scrape up this the body with a continuum, on off. However, this one does post if you wanted to very nicely. The hand grip is very lovely. It's very nimble. You can get right up close to the nib just because of the design, that hooded kind of sheath design. So you can get right up close to it as you would a ballpoint or anything else, and it really does write well. All right, we're going to pull down our writing sample here. This is my tester ink. Erin over at the Joanne Pens and Paper, she suggested getting one ink that I use as a tester for all my pens, which I think is a great scientific approach to these things when you're testing different pens. So this is my tester ink. It's Manyo Kanagi. And then we'll list the pen here. And again, this is a Parker 45 TX. And this is at least I would say it's a medium nib. Lovely pen, lovely writer. Can write all day, no problem. And like I said, this nib rivals my Vanishing Point Gold mediums as well. So this is a beautiful pen. If you are interested in this pen, Brownie is selling it for about $80 or so. So if you would like to contact him, this is one of the pens that he has up for sale. It is a vintage too, because it is now over 40 years old. So if you are a vintage collector, this is a really cool piece of history, because this model, the 45, was the first fountain pen that took cartridges like we had talked about. So that in and of itself is notable. It's got some notoriety there just for this model in fountain pen history. But then this particular one is also a little bit more rare, because it's got, like I said, the limited production run of about 4 years. You know, the nice metal body is nice, heavy, weighty, a little bit more, I don't know, I prefer metal, honestly. I love resin because it's beautiful, and a lot of fountain pens are resin. However, I prefer a nice, weighty metal body if I can have one. So let's do some size comparisons. So here is our Parker 45 TX. Let's go ahead and toss it up against a Vanishing Point. So the Vanishing Point's a hair thicker and a hair longer. Let's do a 743. So the 743 is very much thicker, almost looks like an oversized pen compared to the Parker 45. Let's go with a Retro 51. So you can see the 51 is way more top heavy. The Parker 45 is much more streamlined in appearance. Conclusions. This is a nice pen. I enjoy it for, the limited factor of the 4-year production run's really cool. It's fidgety. Most fountain pens aren't fidgety. This one you can fidget with, which is nice. The aesthetic's cool. It was futuristic for its time. This thing writes with a really, really nice medium, so that's nice, even though it's a stainless steel nib. I would have no problems adding this to my collection. But this is a gorgeous pen. If anybody is interested in a vintage pen, a modern vintage that could take a disposable cartridge, this is it. It's got a beautiful flow, beautiful aesthetic, and limited production run means it is a cool keeper. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Brownie, for donating this for review. And whoever gets this pen, I would say you are getting a great one. You're getting a small gem here.